everybody, welcome to Mystics MMOs. I'm your host, Mystic Raven. Alright guys, so wow, what a turn of events. So I've been working on my SAM and I got to talk to my company yesterday. I'm like, you know what, I only need like one more piece. Where are we at with, the extreme scenario? Where are we? And then all of a sudden the guild leaders were like, well, we're busy doing, and we're like, I'm like, okay, have you guys stepped foot into an extreme yet? No. I'm like, okay, what's the plan here? Well, and I'm like, I'm trying to get information what their itinerary is or what their agenda is. And it was like, literally, these guys didn't have a fucking clue which direction they were going in. Like, none. And I was like, what, like, as far as rating, not anything else. The bunch of great guys. I'm not going to say anything ill about them. But then I get, a message like, we're sorry if you were led to believe that we were into extreme rating. We're more of a friend guild, and we're, more casual and, laid back. And I'm like, okay, so you're not into hardcore rating. That's fine. You don't owe me an apology. You don't whatever. But needless to say, I'm looking for a new, to do without any of the drama, I'm looking for a new free company already, because these guys are not what I want out of my gameplay. They have a different aspect to their gameplay, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to that, except I'm looking for something in my gameplay, and that's rating. That's like getting my that content done. And I'm like, wow. Holy shit. Dude, what's up, Irish? Yeah, dude. I am like, so, and I think they're great guys. I honestly do. Except they're not anywhere near what it's going to take to be a raid company. And I feel that's the issue. Is like, you need to find out where you're at. And like I told them, it's like, you can be a guild that has multiple things going on, but you need to be proactive. You need to be proactive. If you're going to be a guild leader, if you're going to be, even if you have a crafting guild, you have to be proactive. And I feel a lot of problems with guilds these days is it sets to the casual. Yeah, I'm up early. I had to take my wife to work super early. Today's my daughter's birthday party. So I figured I'd get some stuff done. Try to get this finished, farmed out. I need my pants and my shoes, so I want to get those farmed out so I can get my score. I also need my jewelry, but I want to get my gear score up so I can get this dude. My one dude's already set to 430, which he's already ready for extremes, my healer. So I want to get my my samurai up there. Then I want to work on my other tunes, get them geared up, and then I want to get in my extreme and get ready for my savage. So I'm trying to get all of this lined up, and oh my god, oh, what a disaster. I'm like, I don't mind casuals. I think casuals are fine. That's why I pug. I prefer pugging so I can get to play with more casual people. But honestly, sweet, get a bonus. My only problem with casuals, especially companies, is just not putting out what their intentions are. It's like, a player like me, I don't need to be in a casual guild. I don't need to be in a casual guild. And I said that like when I first started. I'm like, I'm a little worried. I thought they were a little casual. After speaking with them about raids and extremes yesterday, I was definitely knowing they were more casual. Which I'm fine with. Like I said, I don't care. I don't have to have fluff. I just want to get through content. Might have to. I don't want to have to switch servers because Mark paid for me to come here. But at this point, I'm looking. If I'm going to look, I'm going to look for a company who's got their shit together, who have active players. I don't want to be in a company that's a bunch of like casual, friendly guild. Oh, we're just a casual. No, that's not for me. That is not for me at all. And that's fine that there are those players, but that's not the type of player I am. Go big or go home. I spend too much time in my configurations, in my setups. Trying to get my rotation down as smooth as possible. I hate this last boss with the melee. Sucks. Are we dragging him or no? I guess not. 45K! Holy shit kebabs! I fucked that one up. Nope, wrong button. I'm telling you, these mobs got a lot more health on their asses. The problem is these older gamers usually already have raid trial teams established. Especially with newer content, right? Most teams will hit the ground running. You might have a hard time getting what you're after. I'll form one if I have to. I just need like-minded people. You know? I mean, I agree with you 100%, actually. You're absolutely right. It's going to be hard. But there's newer players, and there's got to be, you know, people who want to do the content, you know? So... oh, that was fucking fun. Oh, messed that one up. Get away, get away, get away! Oh my god! It's bad. Oh my god. We got a lot of ads, a lot of ads, a lot of ads. I did the same thing though in the first time, so it's to be expected. Stacking. Good recovery. Might as well set them all out. Why not? Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Ah! No, 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 no. Mommy. Why not? Pass on all that. Yeah. Like, my biggest thing is, like, I would have taken over, I would have done recruiting had Hop just not, like, Hop message, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna look at, he's like, I wanted to do that. And, like, dude, you were casual. Like, I'm not looking for casual play. Like, it's not my dictionary. Like, I don't like casual, man. If, like, I'm not set to do that. Yeah. I think that's the problem with majority of the times I'm in guilds. Like, I'm not an elitist anymore, but I'm still, like, I don't care about, like, conforming to meta. I don't care about, like, trying to whatever. But I do care about content. If I'm going to be in there, I want to clear it. I mean, it's okay to fail. Actually, failure is a good thing, especially in raiding. I always tell people, like, if you're not failing in raiding, then you got problems when you will. Did you try to get a team together in your last free company? Yeah, Hop was the free company. We were rolling, you, me, and Hop. But then after Hop took a leave, then you had account problems, and then it was like, what am I to do? I'm here by myself, going to be trying to recruit and everything else. It was like, at that point, it was like self-defeating, you know? That was the problem. It's like, if the people you want to play with aren't playing, then what are you going to do? I'd rather play with you guys every day. But the question of it is everybody playing? Hop wasn't playing. You had account problems. And it was like, I told Hop, I'm like, Hop, I told you don't take on a position that you can't handle. Don't take a position you can't handle. And he couldn't. That was the problem. Oh, yeah, I tried. Yeah, we did one open world thing together, and the rest of it was just like, I had a conversation with them, and I said, hey, are you guys like, dude, they ain't even doing it. They're not planning on doing it, Irish. The company, no, I got kicked out because they were like, we're casual, and, you know, we're not into that big scene, so we're not planning on doing it. Like, seriously, dude, I'll have to talk to you about it. I was like, wait a minute. I was under the impression that you guys even said you guys were prepping for it. Well, some people just aren't ready, and some people, I don't think that they're into that. I'm like, well, that's fine. Are you recruiting, you know, players to fill the slots? Well, you know, we're talking about running with other guilds. I'm like, so you guys are going to run with another guild because you guys don't want to put in the work. And pretty much that's the consensus. And I was like, why wouldn't you want to be active? Like, you guys should host events. You guys should do, you know what I'm saying? That's what I was telling them. And I'm like, listen, it's okay to be casual. It's okay not to be a hardcore player. That's fine. I'm not condemning any of you guys for your choice. If you don't want to be raiders and you don't want to do extremes and slayers, that's fine. That at least you're honest about it. Now, you should have been forthcoming to begin with. And that was the issue. Like, I would have rolled with them every goddamn day. You know me, Irish. If they would have said, hey, I need help with this, I would have gladly have done it. If they said, hey, we're going on hunt farms, I would have done that. We're going to do this, would have done that. But they were definitely casual. Like, the epitome of casual. And that's what I was afraid of. I was... Vodka, just use LS if you want to participate in salvage and stream. Static, with the static, really? That would be actually badass. I'm going to be looking for a new company. I agree with you, Vodka. These guys were definitely not in on any of it, though. And I was like, that's fine. That's more than fine. Just when you recruit or bring anybody in, communication's key, you know? Nice. That was a nice, smooth one. A lot better than the last boss. You'll avoid drama if you use link shells for those two, since at least it won't follow you home to the FC. Oh, nice. Just saying, if they originally said they wanted to do that content, right, some players were obviously interested. I would have taken those, recruited the rest, right? Well, they seem to be like real life associated, so I don't think like trying to recruit them would have been like a good thing. And I agree with you, Irish. Like, if people are in, and that's what I was saying to them yesterday. I'm like, listen, I understand not everybody can or wants to do the content, but you grow from the people who do want to do it. That's who you start off with. You take those people and you form your static group. And I was making all these recommendations. And one of the guild leaders got butthurt over it, you know, and was like, we need to have a meeting. And I was like, well, that's fine. I don't care. I don't give a shit. I personally don't. I don't. I'm just trying to do content. If I could do it with a company, sweet. If not, I don't give a shit once again. It's not like I'm telling them how to play their game. It's just like, where are you at? But you're right. It's going to cause problems later down the road for the people who want to do it, and they're not going to be able to do it with that company or whatever because they're not trying to accommodate those type of players. I'm not sure how many free companies have dedicated statics, to be perfectly honest. So a lot of people use the link shell and not use a static in their company. That's weird to me. If you would think that a lot of people would run those type of, groups and companies. So you can run static. Wait for the tank to line them up. but without restricting them to all being a part of the same free company. One of the reasons you can have so many link shells and cross-world link shells is because it helps to accommodate. Of course, there's also the argument that you don't need a static for Savage to begin with because of how easy the fights have been since Creator and all throughout Stormblood. Yeah, I can see where you're going with that. Yeah. But what about Ultimates? Wouldn't you still want a static for at least Ultimate? Or are they pretty much, just, using link shells to incorporate that as well? I can't tell which way this take's going. Oh, no, no. No! Get away from me! Why is it always a friggin' dancer on top of my ass? I'm trying to get the fuck away from everybody so I can see. God dang it! It's already bad enough, man. I'm playing a melee. This boss fight sucks on melee. I'm committed. Oh man, no, 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 no. Oh shit. Messed up that rotation. Okay, I gotta pull back out of this. It's getting around that time. No, no, no! I'm a dead man. No! This healer's getting my vote all day. I'm dead. Bye, bit. Bye, bye. The tank kept moving it around. Yep. Oh, very little caps. Caps. Oh my god. Yeah. This takes like over here, over there. We're like right there. As soon as he's just like, I get like it's hard as a tank. Hit your mitigations. Try to find that nice little less spot and try to grit your teeth. Moving it around is going to compromise your team if you keep kiting it everywhere. Yep, over here, over there, over here, over there. It's like no, 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 no. Let's not do that. I'll take the boss over here. That's fine if you're trying to move it out of a mechanic. As long as you don't compromise your healer. I don't give a shit if I die. I can die all day. I don't want my healer to die. If my healer dies, we're all screwed. Please, no. No healer dies. Dude, I want to thank you, Baka, for letting me know about that. I'll have to take a look at that. But I would rather get into a company that has some static members, though. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely not going to be into like, we're not going to be running that as a company, and we're more like, you know, a friend. I'm just like, no, no, not me. Especially when you have to consider that the tank has to do their part, right? Like I said, I don't give a shit if I die. I can die all day. I just don't want my healer to die. My healer dies, we're all screwed. What the? Self-heal for preservation, Mystic! My God! The healer is definitely getting my vote. Somebody's getting it. Might be compromised here. No, Mystic pulls it off. No way, man! I was really in line with that thing? Bullshit. What? I'm trying to avoid that freaking stupid laser. Oh, wrong button. Oh, I'm so screwed. I didn't even see me get hit with a laser. I'm saying bullshit. Whatever. It happens. Healer did a good job, though. Nice recovery. He's still getting my vote. There we go. Healer's getting it. Healer did such a good job. Pass on that ass. Let's see. Keep in mind, okay. So the ability to react to these mechanics are more heavily weighted towards the DPS to follow through properly, especially when you have to consider that the tank has to do part of them blind, right? Because it's in his face. It's on the healer then not to die because the tank can't see what you guys are doing. This is true. For that one, you had to move more south, okay, for that beam. That's what I think you mean. Or pass through him and move north beyond the laser to the side of you at that time. Keep in mind, as well as the lasers aren't just the ones next to you. It's all a part of the laser deploy on the field. Right. That's the thing. Like, I do a good job with the range, but melee, it's different playing melee with that boss. That boss on melee is like, I feel comfortable doing it with the range because of the perception, how the field perception is. But like I said, tank's blind because of where the boss is. Like, I've seen tanks just kind of like turn him, like stay position, and then maybe move, deviate in those little pockets. But a lot of the tanks just turn him, you know, turn left, his head left, turn his head right, you know. And, but yeah, he's so big, majority of the time, the tank can't see everything in the back of the field. Because the boss is just so fucking huge. Although most of my friends who do raid would say this is a lower than Baby's first raid, the new one. So we differ on our opinion on how easy this fight was supposed to be. Oh, this, you mean this fight in here? This game's very mechanic heavy, but I've noticed that you can tell a skill gap. Like, I don't give a damn about the meta per se. I mean, I understand the meta's there. We can't deny that people are going to come up with the meta. But what I notice is like the big skill gaps between players who know their jobs and are more, you know, versatile or more accustomed and more, you know, they can play that job flawlessly. and then you see the people who aren't as acquainted with, you know, their configurations or their weaving or what they're trying to put together in their rotation. I mean, there's never an ideal. Some situations don't lend themselves as well as others, but I do feel like there is a giant skill cap between people who just, you know, who are more like casual, who just do the content, versus people who are like rip apart the content. You know what I'm saying? There's a huge skill cap. I mean, not to say they don't die or people don't die, but when you see like that skill cap, that skill level, there's a huge difference, man. Huge difference. All right. 432, baby. No, the last fight for the twinning. Got you. Yeah. Like, I really like the mechanics in Shadowbringers. I feel like Shadowbringers, they brought the game. They brought it. Like, I felt the devs did pretty good with, you know, everything. Like, when I play this content, I feel comfortable with majority of the dungeon crawls. I like the initial raids too that just came out, so I'm really looking forward to seeing, you know, the Slayers. I'm really looking forward to all that. I felt like they definitely brought their A game. The devs did. Okay, hold on. What do I need here? I think I want to go with the skill speed on that once open slot. Yeah. And what's open on my legs? I'll probably do another determination as well. So I already have a determination 60, but I need to go get my direct. What's my that cap over anyways? So my determination's still kind of small, so I could probably put 2 determinations in this one, and then we'll get skill speed on that. And I need a skill speed. I think my critical rating's fine. One of the things you'll notice with progs too is that there will be a lot of initial clears that don't use on meta comps, right? Because what matters more is the ability to clear with confidence. I agree with that. I definitely agree. Absolutely. Get the clear, then configure the meta. As opposed to the meta comps, which are designed for speed kills. Right. Absolutely. I mean, that totally makes sense. Because, well, and, you know, because, you know, is speed a determining factor? Well, it shouldn't be in the initial, because if you don't know the mechanics and you're trying to get the clear, that is definitely way more important. So I agree, man. But, you know, the way... this game, I understand that Square doesn't want to set up meta, doesn't want to do that, and I get that, and that's actually cool. And I like the fact that everybody can kind of get their clear so long as they can hit their checks. DPS checks the biggest one. You know, there's not a lot of times, I've seen maybe a few times where healers haven't hit the heal checks, but DPS checks, there's just certain, I don't know what's up with people not hitting DPS checks. But I can see that's being the biggest deal. And I can understand why things came out the way they did when they wanted healers to DPS more frequently. But given the fact that Square did announce that the DPS checks weren't configured for tanks or healers to be a contributing factor, that the the DPS checks were more calculated just strictly on the DPS end. Like, when you don't see a DPS hitting those checks, is it because, you know, what the configuration of a party, or is it is it the player's capability? That's my question. That becomes my question. Is it a problem with a specific job's output, DPS output, versus maybe a player's, you know, familiarity with that job and their rotation? That's the only thing I'm trying to debate around. I'm trying to, you know, spin my head around and trying to figure out, you know, what is the factor going in, because people are going to determine these things with meta. That's what they're going to do. They're going to determine the fastest way for the highest up times and which jobs are going to offer that synergy. People tend not to like Black Mage, though, if the Black Mage could be a Red Mage. Got you. Because people like having a leeway to die. I love Red Mage. I love the Red Mage. Even though, like, I know he doesn't hit as high as the Black Mage, his mobility to move in and out of mechanics is so good. And then the utility. You know, I mean, I know he's not, like, I feel the Dancer did a good job with utility and group support. But, you know, from a DPS, I was a little worried about Summoner and Red Mage when the stats came out. I was like, oh, you know, I kind of just, like, my eyes crossed. I was impressed with Dragoon. Like, I'm like, holy shit. That says a lot more about what level of proficiency they expect from DPS players, though, right? But in reality, DPS players on average will never see that level of proficiency. See, that's a good point, Baka. I like exactly how you worded that. Thank you. I agree. That statement is so profound. It is so accurate. Like, there's a level of proficiency that comes along with, you know, trying to hit that expectation. And depending on somebody who's familiarity with mechanics can deviate DPS, right? We know that. We know even mechanics can deviate somebody's DPS based on what? Positioning. And this game's all about positioning. You know, if you fuck up on a position, like, I'll screw up on a rotation. My rotation, I know my rotation. I configured my rotation. But my rotation can get screwed based on my positioning, where I totally have just screwed up my pickup points on my rotation because I have to reset up everything, and then I don't know what's coming off of the cooldown. So it's like, this is on cooldown. I should have been in this part of my rotation. But unfortunately, because of my position, having to reposition myself, I just resynced my entire rotation. And that can suck at times. That can be such a pain in the arse. So we got a few more pieces, but yeah. Dude, what happened? You literally sell death to the meta merch. Are you going down the rabbit hole? Well, no. But what I'm saying in here, we have a linear game. You played World of Warcraft, Irish. You know this. In ESO, there is no absolute, except for perfected gear. So in ESO, up until perfected gear came out, they were called in different curves. So there was no meta as much as what they wanted. I could get the same numbers from two different sets doing what? Using the Mundus Stone and my CP system. That's why I always said death to the meta in ESO. I never liked the meta. I don't like the meta now. I'm not condoning the meta, even in this game. But what's the determining factor in this game is the linear progression. There are absolutes. In this game, we don't control our gear. We don't control a third party, stat booster on top of, enchantment slots. We have materia, which are like in our enhancements, but other than that, we don't have all these different values to draw from, or these different math equations that we can derive the same conclusion. It's like I tell my kids, I gave my one daughter, She's 16, a brief example of indifferent values. I'm like, okay, so we understand diminishing return. I try to teach my kids a little bit of this. A lot of them aren't into it, but it's important at least they know the premise of it. So I tell them about diminishing returns, and then I tell them about the diminishing or the indifferent value. I'm like, here's the simplistic version. What's 3 plus 3? 6. I'm like, what's 4 plus 2? 6. I'm like, do you see what we did there? It doesn't matter what the variables are, but the answer remains the same. And then we can get into complicated more math, which are divisible prime numbers to, equivalent if we're still getting the same effect. If it is truly an indifferent value, or is it a value that's determined based on diminishing marginal return. So anything that's determined by diminishing marginal return can be offset by indifferent value. So I'm going over all of these things, kind of a base premise of my kids. And in ESO, that's what we had. That's why I kept telling, up until Perfected Gear came out, we didn't have a best in slot. We didn't have something that dictated the meta players were fucking up based on numbers. Like, they fucked up based on numbers. Like, they didn't know math. ESO players didn't. They didn't understand math. And it's like, you say you know, but if you knew, you could see how you can derive these different variables from the different sources that are, put into Elder Scrolls. So that's why I was always like, death to the meta. In this game, there's absolutes. We can't get around it. We can't get around uptime. We can't get around, slotting a different set of gear. We can't get around, we don't have multiple sets at our leisure to say, okay, I'm going to use, Gotia, and then I'm going to, use my, slot it with my new set. As an example, back in the day, Alex, Gordos, Midias, the DPS checks were so tight, a majority of players without a healer would not have cleared, right? Strictly speaking, there's a difference in return from. Right. Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. And that's why I'm always going over things like linear-based games, direct hit, critical hit, determination, skill, speed, spell speed, right. And that's kind of where we're at. But we do have a diminishing return on base stats, but I don't have the absolute value because we're not allowed a parser. I would download it. You're allowed to get it, but we're not allowed to be streaming with it. So we can make variations to the effects, right? Based on, our determination, for example, and our direct hit are factors, right? You can stream with it. Can you? Because I heard, you can't comment in game. Because I've heard multiple things. So that's what that's why I was hesitant. I was like, I'm not risking my account. Like, I'm not going to lose my account I'm not going to get a ban because of a stupid parser. I just don't want to be that player who's getting yelled at. So you can't say DPS 1, your damage is too low because right. Maybe it's best that I don't have it because I probably would be that dick. I know they have it. I've been wanting it. I'm like tempted. I'm like, oh my god, give me this shit. And it's a parser. That's not a metrics. So in ESO, they have metrics. They don't have a parser. In this game, no. They have a parser. Like, you can see everybody's damage output. Except, do they have a healing output? Someone said they did, and then someone said they didn't. I don't know. But a full parser, you can literally see everybody's damage. Now, certain parsers allow you to see their rotation. You're like, you can click on their name, it'll like link, that'll go through their rotation. They do. They have a healing one. It's mostly ignorable. Well, now I've heard different things, though. Like, White Mage healing output is the highest. And then you have Scholar, and then, of course, Astrologian. So I hear people commenting all about it. So I figured. As long as you're alive, the point of tracking healing is kind of irrelevant. Yeah, that's true. But usually if they have a heal per second, they also have mitigation effects. So, like, say, for example, Scholar versus White Mage Shield, right? Which one has the strongest mitigation? Little things like that sometimes are trackable. White Mage has always had the highest potential healing, right? But it's sort of backwards to track it because the White Mage should be doing other things, right? It's kind of crazy. Like, I always, you're right, Irish. I am a big person who says death to the meta. I am not for meta. Like I said earlier, I don't care about the meta so long as I get clears. The meta isn't a dictating factor to me. But we can't ignore the fact that people are going to put 2 and 2 together. We can't. In this game, it's an absolute. Unlike Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls, I can come up with indifferent values to certain things. Against perfected gear, I can't. Perfected gear is now what they call stat stacking. So stat stacking is going to prevail. So you see certain dumb fucks in ESO who don't understand why things are changing because they don't understand stat stacking and the output based on jobs, passives, how those stats are starting to stack based on perfected statting. And it's like, that's why I said I think Elder Scrolls went in a bad direction with the perfected versions. I get that they wanted to incentivize, but I think it was a bad decision. But indifferent values in ESO are a mathematical plethora. You can I can come up with so many indifferent values in that game. And that's what makes building in ESO it was the best. Because you can come up with indifferent values, man. You could literally come up with so many indifferent values based on build options and class passives. But in this game, it's crazy. Scholar has the highest mitigation by far. As an example, though, because of how low returns are for stats are right now, the difference in damage between the optimal meld and det meld build is 2%, is it? Yeah, so I definitely, statting is a big thing in this game. I'll have different, when Raid comes out, I'll have 2 different gear options, right? Based on statting or stats. But meld is important based on your initial stats. It's important. These are the determining factors in this game. Because there's a diminishing return. There's a cap. There's a cap where you can go over, but you don't see a sufficient enough amount of DPS to justify the meld. So it's that's where you kind of want to do parsers, man. Because when you're trying to get that little extra oomph out of it, you want to go ahead and hit on a stat that might be a lower end stat based on direct hit or versus your determination. Critical values might be at a high where you're seeing that diminishing return. See, in linear games, our diminishing returns are preset, not because we have dependent variables, and in ESO we have independent variables. So ESO has independent variables. Linear games have dependent variables, meaning they're locked. They cannot be changed. They cannot be altered. The only thing you can do is add or subtract, add to the initial stats, but you can't subtract from the base stat. That's why linear games I kind of walked away from for the longest time. I mean, most players, because they don't do enough damage to justify it, right? So, linear game, this is a linear game. A linear game, we're going to get absolutes. There's just no way around it. There's no way. In ESO, we have independent variables. These are independent. These are dependent variables. When I take a look at this headpiece, my 450, my strength is a dependent a dependent variable. It's not independent. It's dependent. It's a solid. It cannot be adjusted. Determination is dependent. Vitality is dependent. Direct hit is independent. Determination and direct hit. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Determination and direct hit are independent based on like scaling. So we can scale melts to increase determination and direct value, but strength and vitality are dependent. They cannot be altered. Like players on the lower end only do like 6K, which means you'll see a 120 increase. Main attribute stats are still functional, calculated as 8-to-1 damage, as if I remember correctly, right? See, that makes sense to me. That totally makes sense to me. And this is where like parsing and these type of MMOs become relevant, because we have fixed variables, man. We can't, our only small amount of, alterations is based on slots, right? That's it. That's the only thing is gear level and open slot mechanic. In ESO, we never had that problem. Like man, you give me a game like Elder Scrolls and I can do wonders with that shit, because I can calculate almost everything to indifferent, like almost like a 0.5% indifference, or within marginal acceptable limits, because it's just that's what I did. And that's why I love the ESO so much. That was such a random answer. No, you're fine. I actually love it. I miss back when healers not melting accuracy made people fail DPS checks, though. No, honestly, yeah. But melting is an important aspect to this game, as far as even with the gear progression, what your gear system is, and that little things like that'll add up. Little things like that'll add up for like ultimate players and stuff. And I get it. That's why they reduce synergy. I get why they reduce synergy. I understand that. I do. I get it. But at the end of the day, linear game is a linear game. You can't... If I had a way to change stats, right, based on passives like Elder Scrolls, I could select sets and come up with different, in different variables. I could do multiple things in a game. But unfortunately, on a linear game, we have predetermined factors that are only leading us in one conclusive direction. So that's why it's called linear, right? We don't have an open-ended system in a game like this. But Elder Scrolls has an open-ended system, but now they have a perfected version of raid gear and weapons that are leading to stat stacking. And stat stacking is going to lead to a factor of a 2% difference in your total DPS output. So even if I take a secondary that in a Mundus that have secondary indifferent value to it, right? My primary set is still going to remain the same based on the stacked statted value. Blah, 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 blah. Nah, they reduced synergy because they didn't want to admit the dancer was going to be part of meta. You think? I think the dancer is still going to be because of the uptime. And then they made dancer a super meta because shot everyone else in the lake. Its uptime is insane. It has the lowest DPS output on the chart, but its uptime is insane, for its support. I can't. What? How can it not be configured? I mean, you have almost a guaranteed the highest uptime ever with dancer. Dragoon looks good though, but when you take a look at everybody else's support, it kind of pales. Bard looks good with its support, but not as strong. So I'm not saying like I wish they would have increased Bard DPS a little bit more, given the fact that some of its support got kind of like puffed. So I wish Bard would have got a little bit more DPS based on, you know, the lack of synergy that it's receiving in comparison to the Dancer. I don't know, man. Every Zai is a leaning meta, right? Look at all of his recent builds. Every stand build has Reliqueen. Every Magicka build has Sioria. He claims anti-meta, but honestly, I'm struggling to see it. Well, here's the thing. Like I was saying, it's the meta's killing ESO. Like when I made that video, Irish, meta's killing ESO. Because they came out with perfect gear. It's stat stacking. So I could take a Scoria set as a base set, right? Take it and put it with like Mother's Sorrow, which most people do, whatever. But what's going to change based on that configuration? My Mundus and enchantments and my monster set. But I can also take a set, scrub Mother's Sorrow, right? And then pick up a set like Juliano's and then change my Mundus accordingly. And now I get a whole different, you know, output. You see, that's what I keep trying to tell people. I'm like, the way stat stacking works, you can't get past that extra additional stat slot. It's a contributing factor. And ESO devs fucked up by introducing perfected gear and weapons because it has an extra stat. So if I have a perfected Destro, a perfected Scoria, those are two stats that weren't apparent to begin with. Those are stats that are stacking now on top of my configuration. Now all I need is a third set, the appropriated Mundus, and CP alignment. And I can switch all three of those factors because they're independent variables, and I can come up with indifferent values. But I can't afford to get rid of the perfected gear because of the stat stacking. Knowing I can't replace a stat on a set that doesn't exist. That's why I'm really disappointed with the meta. Different between Han and Outcast. Right. Difference between Han and Outcast, yeah. Yeah, but imagine Dancer with SB Bard. They'd both have super high uptime and now 100% uptime. Right. But what I'm saying is, wait, I agree with you, Blanca. I totally agree. Like, the way the uptime works on those two would be insanely awesome for group statting, right? To boost up the DPS. My only thing is, like, they took away some of the Bard's capability. Dancer has a higher ceiling cap when it comes to support. But now what do we see? The Bard's DPS is kind of like slightly above the Dancer. I think it should be slightly raised. It used to be when you saw a Zai build, you knew it was going to be just as good, but different from everyone else. Now his builds are all the same as everyone else. It's sad. Yeah, but that's not Zai's fault, is my point. It's ZeniMax. ZeniMax has crippled everybody with stat stacking. Yeah, but that's why they nerfed Bard. Yeah, I know. You're right, Vodka. You're right. I get it. I mean, I really do. I'm going to get one more run in. The only thing I got to get left on this is weapon and my jewelry pieces. But actually, my one jewelry piece, I need to replace this ring. I don't know if I want to go for the weapon because I'm going to be running extreme anyway. So I'm going to get that 450 weapon, more than likely. I'm hoping to anyways. God dang it. Actually, Dancer needs its damage to be raised a bit because Bard, with its nerf kit, can reach Machinist's personal damage. Really? But Dancer doesn't manage to meet either Bard or Machinist very well. But Machinist had a pretty good parse, didn't it? And I was actually quite surprised to see Machinist get as high as it did. I was anticipating. I mean, I know the rotation's a little clunky. I play Machinist, but I haven't played it since the revamp. But I've heard, I still hear that the rotation on Machinist is kind of hectic still. And that's the problem with the machinist. Machinist uptime is really hard to maintain. It's not as consistent as Bard. So I think you're right. Like, I could probably see the potential output, but that uptime on machinist it's a struggle based on the rotation. It's clunky. It's really clunky. It's a clunky rotation. But like Red Mage, I love Red Mage. Red Mage is so flexible. Like if people struggle with the rotation, right? I feel like Red Mage is the job to go to. Like if you want a support, like you want a DPS class that has some support, but a flexible rotation, a forgiving rotation. It's more forgiving than any other job, in my opinion, Red Mage is. And it's super fun. Like, they kept it flexible, forgiving, and still impacting. And I think that's why I really like Red Mage. Like, Red Mage, like, I don't have to be so detrimental on myself if I'm missing something in my positioning based on my rotation. Samurai's not... Samurai, if I fuck my rotation up due to positioning, I just screwed my uptime. I screwed a lot of things up. Not to say that I can't recover, but my rotation got kind of screwed. It's not forgiving. As an example, it's better to take White Mage than AST right now because of the damage bonus. Yeah. I like AST though. I think AST statting is going to be recognizable when people get it. Comes close to compensating for the white. Yeah, but what I'm saying, if you have the two ASTs, you could sustain the buff, the AoE buff, between two ASTs and a static if they know how to play it. Like, you can literally keep two 6% up like 70% of the time. There's a slight drop off, but imagine that, right? That AoE. That AoE, it's considerable. I honestly, I love the AST statting. Like, if you take, before there was a timer associated, right? Where you couldn't utilize two ASTs in that capacity. You couldn't do it. But now you can. And I think that's being overlooked. I'm like 6% because you can hold on when it comes off of the uptime. When it drops, you can the other one can reapply. But the problem of it is with AST is trying to get everything lined up for divination. But divination on one, once it drops off, you can apply the other one. You don't have a timer effect anymore associated with that buff. I think a lot of people are overlooking that. Because if we're looking at statting, it doesn't matter how much damage the White Mage pushes out. Because 6% across the board is going to do way more damage than anything the White Mage will ever put out. Because it goes across the board. 6%. Imagine 6% to all your DPS and your tanks. It doesn't, at that point, it don't even matter what the White Mage does for damage. At all. Because as soon as one drops off, we're going to be able to apply the other one. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. They're like, oh, White Mage deals the most damage. Yeah, because he has no utility. He sucks for that. Like, I'm taking a look at it and I'm like, fuck this shit. This is crazy. I'm looking at my AST. I'm like, there's no time, no set amount of time that the effect has to be played. I can hold on to my cards indefinitely, use the new play feature, get the desired cards to what? Increase my divination percentage. Once that's been applied to a 6%, I have X amount of time that it's applicable. All of a sudden, it drops off. The other AST is holding on to his divination at 6%. It drops off. He's applying it. That's consistent. That's like a 70% uptime. That's insane. But everybody just sees like single target damage output, and they're like, white mage. I'm like, no, fuck that. Y'all are high. But the healing for the white mage is pretty epic at the moment. But anybody who knows math's going to be realizing, you know what? Fuck the white mage. Fuck the white mage. Give me that AST. Give me 2 ASTs, not 1. I want 2 of these bitches in my group. Because with 2 ASTs, you're going to be able to do it. You're going to be able to keep a higher uptime. That's why I feel like the card system now, people complain about it, and I'm like, it actually, they need to set it back because it's too overpowered. It's almost like you... But people didn't realize it. They're just like, oh, well, single target, AST's the lowest. And I'm like, did you think? Why? Because if you have 2 ASTs, they can push out a 6%, right? Drop off, apply re. Now they have like a 30% window or downtime, 30% downtime to recover and reapply. Like, what happened to people, like, doing that type of stuff?
Just as prayer gives rise to pride.
Check that out. Except the bonus aren't equal because both healers and tanks are close to a 4% at best for damage. White mage currently damage is right. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's single. That's what I'm saying, Baka. But what I'm saying is the 6%, right? That increases across the board. White mage has no utility. It's shit in that essence. Yeah, it has more single target, but if we're taking a look at overall DPS per group, that's where the white mage is going to falter. When somebody realizes what 2 ASTs can do in a group, it's game over. When they find it, when they come to that realization and be like, fuck. White mage is going to be right where it was in the beginning. So is Scholar though. But you have people being like, well, I don't think this is gonna. It's like it's over your head, man. Somebody will figure it out. Somebody will. I already did, but move! Move! Perfect. I love these ones that get laid right here. No, 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 no. Our DPS is light. Oh shit. What? What? Whoa, no, 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 no! Am I in its hitbox? I'm gonna die. No, my God, I did it! Mark, too soon to worry. They will change again really soon. What happened now, dude? Mark. So I'll have to message you in game. Get with me in game. There's a lot going on, man. I'll talk to you about it in game. I'm no longer in the guild, Mark. So I'll have to talk to you about that. I'm saying though that you have to look at damage, raid bonus, frame rep. Right. Yeah, we'll have to see for those. But I'm not sure anything particular, which is what the class is. Well, they have all the real numbers. Yeah, I'm no longer in the guild, dude. So we were talking yesterday, and they pretty much admitted my fear. They're casual, and they were like, we're not really, you know. And then not only did I get a message, they kicked me out of the guild first, and then banned me from the like. They're a bunch of drama queens, dude. I'm like, I like them, but they're drama queens. I'm like, I'm glad it didn't work out. I'm like, I'm good. Because I was geared up. I geared up and I said, hey, have you guys started running this? What's the plans? And they're like, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, well. And then they were like, oh, well, it's not about this. You know, nobody cares about the, you know, any of the raids. It's about the Savage. And I'm like, okay, well, well, a lot of people aren't there. We're working with another guild. I'm like, well, who's leading it? I'm just being inquisitive. And yeah, nah, dude. I was like, fuck, this is. And then later on, after the fact, I get a message from Leonis being like, basically like, well, we're more casual. And I'm like, well, I kind of figured that one out. But yeah, I think you're right about that, Vodka. I'm just saying, like, with that uptime between two ASTs, like 6% output, one AST is not going to be enough to do it. But if you keep two ASTs at the 6% back to back, off the drop off, off the cooldown, you have a 70% uptime. Like, I've already calculated that. 70% crazy amount of uptime that makes anything the white mage does on a parse in comparison irrelevant because of the applied effect to the entire party. And I feel like that is more scarier than anything. Because that'll be configured. Add that with the dancer now. With this crazy uptime. Imagine the DPS output. Like, everybody's talking about white mage, and I'm like, you guys are really underestimating the ASTs. I'm like, somebody with some math is going to figure it out. They're going to be like, we can't deny this. No, you can't. You can't deny math. You cannot. Is it going to be configured? I don't know. I would. If I was toxic, if I was still toxic, I'd be like, fuck that. Give me the fucking numbers. White mage what? Take a seat, bitch. Scholar? I ain't got no room for you. I need 2 ASTs in my group, motherfucker. Because they got rid of that timer, man. Getting rid of that timer was just insanely OP. I would have, if I was Square, I was about to say Cinemax, I would have fucking kept that timer on like a motherfucker. You wouldn't have that type of problem like me figuring that shit out. Because I'd be like, Momo. 70% uptime? Fuck! Problem of it is getting the people who know how to get their divination at that percentage for the best output. Oh, I forgot to pass everything. My bad, my bad, my bad. We shall see what the team configuration pans out to be, right? And 5% to the group for a longer period of time, right? Used to give it 10. Right. But what I'm saying, before it was on a timer, remember? The old card system, we had to lay it within a specific amount of time, right? You're right. You're absolutely right. But now, even though they lowered it, which they did do, right? What people didn't pay attention to is they released the timing phase. And that's a problem. Because now you take 2 ASTs where you had a guaranteed cooldown, right? And you can do back-to-back statting. Ah, shit. But yeah, I think a lot of configurations, though, are going to be like White Mage for sure and Scholar. But then there's going to be, I honestly think that you're going to get a couple of people who are just going to know their statting and their capability and be like, you know what? Or it's going to be a fluke. Like, there's somebody like, we can do this, within ASTs. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, let's just run this with ASTs because we already memorized it. And then all of a sudden, someone would be like, how the fuck did we get that much damage output during that, phase? Oh, well, I used divination. It dropped off, then he backed it up with his divination. What? And what was the downtime for that? Like 30%? What do you mean to say we have a 6% 70% of the time? Yeah. Well, holy fuck me. Fuck the White Mage and fuck the Scholar. I'd do it. If I was still toxic, I'd do that bitch. I'd be like, take a seat, motherfuckers. Kill this bird dancer!
Yet this is
Ah!
the of it. Come, and I will show you.
Dragon and Dancer are also deadly right. Chrissy, what's up? Hope I forgot to go over here. To be honest, I don't mind casual guilds, but most guilds in SOTAR are hardcore. If you even miss one raid, or you'll get kicked, right? Well, I don't mind, like, you know, people who have lives. Like, that's why I'll never go back to World of Warcraft. Like, I ain't got time to do 6-hour raids anymore. I used to do that shit, but fuck that now. I used to do, like, I used to be hardcore of hardcores. Like, if somebody in my family said, hey, we got this going on, I'm like, during my raid night, fuck off. Like, I got reset on this day, and nothing's coming in because I got 6 hours of work to do. 6 hours in raids. Remember those days? You guys remember those days? Fuck WoW Classic. WoW Classic can go to hell. I ain't got 6 fucking hours of fucking being a raid these days. Fuck that shit. Then have to get all the prereqs to do it. Yeah, everybody's like, oh, well, Molten Core's going to be back. Yeah, well, fuck Molten Core. Let's talk about Nax. Let's talk about AQ. Let's talk about all those motherfuckers that we had such a hard time getting the prereqs for. Yeah, no, fuck you guys. I'm good to go on some bullshit like that. Woohoo! Woohoo! I was in there even doing the tanky thing. I was like, yo, I'll take this bitch.
We saw we had to read its laws anew.
Is my phone? Yeah, it is. 1 second.
But between us and our goal loomed a final misbegotten fiend.
Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. Alrighty. I gotta leave after this run. Thank God we're on the last boss. Whew. Oh shit. Ah, no! See that trick? And I pulled off some stupid shit there. That could have backfired. That could have actually kicked me off. I'm good. I want to try to keep that dot up time up. No healer. Boy, this is gonna be my day, boys and girls. We ain't gonna make it. Oh shit. What the fuck? That fucked up. This boss is a bitch. You die. If the healer dies, we're fucked. Maybe worldwide. I thought it was closer to 3%, but you could be right. It's way too early in the cycle to be stressing over raids right now. Yeah, but right now, extremes, like people are running their extremes and they're getting ready because Slayer's out after next week. So everybody's trying to get their 450 score for that transition. So I can understand why people are trying to get their 450 score ahead, you know, try ahead of the race. This is a 2-year patch cycle. Right. That's why I said don't stress. I'm just hoping that SE comes to better understanding with the community, right? You know, honestly, like, I'm just trying to keep above the curve, but I don't want to play with casuals. I'm not a casual gamer. I'm not. It's like I play a shitload of jobs. I dive into configurations. I'm not the type of player that should be with real life friends and, you know, and it's a casual go friendly. I'm the type of person structured. Hey, we got hunts on Wednesdays. We got this on Tuesdays. We got this on, you know, Tuesdays are our raids. Wednesdays are our hunts. We do this during this day. It's like, that's what I need. I need a structured, it's like I'm a structured type of individual. That's what I expect. Like, you know, get together, have fun, but structure, man. I'm a structured type of person. I definitely should not belong. I'm the type of person you don't want in a casual. I'm not an elitist anymore, but I'm still a hardcore gamer. I always will be. I'm good. No, I'm not. Oh, yeah, I was. One second. Okay. No! Man, my whole shit got messed up. Now I'm having to do it manual. Ain't this some shit? This is the last one, man. Make this bitch good. There. We get it. Woo! Run an FC, then it and make it happen. Right. Well, yeah, I can. I could probably put an FC together. That might be an option. Try to find, people, go to the Reddits, go to the, recruiting pages, get in people that's going to do it. Because that, to me, at the end of the day, like, I've been there. I've been an officer. I've been a guild leader. And at the end of the day, it always starts out good. And it's good as long as, like, you don't try to... If there's a fine line, a very, very, very fine line. So, just got to step with precaution. But you got to be proactive. You have to be. You have to be proactive if you're going to run these type of things, man. I keep trying to tell people, like Hop. I love Hop. I love him to death. He is not a leader. He's not. I love him. He's a damn good player. The dude can do so much. He can heal. He can take. This dude is a phenomenal player. But he's not a leader. Because he gets bored. And then he shifts everything on everybody else. And then vacates. It's not what a leader does. A leader, is leading his, officers and trying to get everything, organized. And leaders, group leaders, obviously, converse with each other and come up with an itinerary to what? Do something. Lead by example, show us. Mark, I can. I mean, I've done that. I've done that for years. I've been a guild leader in guilds. So it's not like whatever. But what I'm saying is the guild that just whatever, they're casual. They even admitted it. They even text me, and Leonidas was like, "We're casual." No duh. No fucking duh. It's like, you are. You're casual. And that's fine. That's fine. Everybody can play as they want. That's what I said. I even told him, you can play how you want. But don't sit there and try to recruit people that don't fit that, what they're trying to do. Some people are trying to do this. Some people are trying to do that. There's something in a game for everybody, right? There is. But the problem of it is people need to communicate. Communication is key. It's just key. It's like I used to train people, in different, companies. And the first thing I always tell people, what does every job have in common? It doesn't matter what trade you do. It doesn't matter if you're doing retail, sales. It doesn't matter, if you're working in communications. It doesn't matter. The one thing that all jobs have in common is communication. It's all about communication. Coming up with, being able to come up with an itinerary or a plan, communicating that concept, and then executing. Without that structure, you don't go anywhere. You don't get anywhere without that type of structure. Every job, the only one thing, no matter how diverse or how different the job is, communication remains relevant in everything we do. And there's no difference with that with guilds and companies. It's like you have to communicate. You have to be proactive. If you're not proactive, your guild's going to fall apart. Your company's going to fall apart. If you're casual and you're friendly, that's fine. Some people do that. Some people like that. That's not me. I am not that type of player. I am a player, I'm a structured player. Our raid nights are this day. This is this day. This is that day. And then the people have options. People have, I can make raid night on Tuesday or Saturday. Okay, perfect. We can put a B team in. Or, hey, I don't want to do the hunt on Wednesday. Okay, well, you can opt out. But you need some sort of itinerary. You need some sort of structure. And the company, that company, Mark, they don't have that. They don't have it. They don't have any structure. They don't have any. So I like the guys. I like them all. But they have no structure. So... And they're young. They're kids, man. But they'll learn. You know what it's like. We were there once. We were at that age once where we just wanted to kick it, right? But I'm not a kick it kind of guy. I'm a guy that says, hey, I got 4 hours. What are we doing? If somebody wants to be a leader, I have no problem letting somebody lead. But take the lead. I'll back up. I always tell somebody, you want this rain? I'll give it to you. Let's see where you go. Let's see where you go. I'm fine with that. I don't have to be a person. I'm not trying to walk on people's toes, but I'm not walking on eggshells either. What you should have done was set up that in the free company and lead teams on different nights. Lead by example. I tried to communicate, Mark. I tried to. I was in there. I was like, hey, has anybody done this? What is the plans? And Leonis and Ben and all of them were like, well, we're trying to work with this other company. I'm like, okay, what have you done? And I'm trying to talk. I'm being proactive. And I'm like, okay, have you guys ran some of the normal new trials yet as a group? Any of you? 2 or 3. And they're like, well, I went in with a pug, and then all of a sudden, I'm not trying to be whatever, this is how Ben talks. And, I got the mechanics down, then we went back in, and even though I didn't get anything out of it, I wanted people to learn. I'm like, no, that's a perfect leader. That's a perfect example. You're going in there, you're being proactive. So how many people did you get in? Are you trying to set up something, where we can get more of a static group? Well, some people aren't ready, and that's understandable. But then he just kept like lollygagging. Well, we're trying to work with another group about our savages and our extremes. I mean, I know savages, but I don't know if, and then he's just kind of muddling. And then all of a sudden, Leonidas sends me a message being like, we're more casual. And I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. And I'm like, no shit. But what are you trying to do to be proactive? Are you trying to get the people who want to do that content in that content? Are you trying to do that? Are you trying to be a leader? I can't lead people who don't want to be led. That's the problem in life. If people don't want to be led, you can't lead them. Right? You can't. I always tell people there's a difference. Anyways, I got to get going. Once again, I want to thank you guys. I'm Mr. Graven. This is Mystic MMOs. As always, have a nice day.